I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarlane. Glad to be here. Glad to have you along as well. Normally, we have the Healing Circle. We're in hiatus on that for a couple of more weeks. We'll be back with the Healing Circle in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, we continue to connect with members of community around important topics, and yes, topics that have to do with health and healing. The breaking news this week, the Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty announced that she is charging Minnesota State Highway Patrol man in the shooting death of Ricky Cobb II. And Ricky Cobb II, his family members are here with me today to go over, but I'm showing you the article that we are running in Monday's paper, which talks about this story. Cooper, scroll down so I can read this on the sort of lead this conversation. The article is entitled Minnesota State Patrol Trooper Ryan Lundgren Charged in Death of Ricky Cobb II. It says Minnesota State Patrol Trooper Ryan Lundgren has been charged on 3 criminal counts for shooting and killing 33-year-old Ricky Cobb II on July 31st, 2023. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty announced Wednesday. While deadly force by peace officers is justified in some circumstances, the criminal complaint alleges the circumstances in this case did not justify the use of deadly force. The criminal complaint charges 3 counts. One is second-degree unintentional murder, first-degree assault, and second-degree manslaughter. And while the number of factors impact a sentence upon conviction, the presumptive sentence under the Minnesota sentencing guidelines for a second-degree unintentional murder is 128 to 180 months. County Attorney Mary Moriarty said when she was in a press conference Wednesday announcing the charges, quote, "Our hearts are with Ricky Cobb's family today, who are grieving an unimaginable loss. I know that they are devastated and will continue to feel this loss for the rest of their lives." In this article, sort of recalled the interview I did with the family. The picture above is the picture of that Zoom interview here on Conversations with Al McFarlane. And read it. Pick up this paper. It'll be out later today, starting tomorrow. And it's our lead story on page 3, our second front. And it's an important story. Well, that's kind of the dates and the details. Let's go into what's happening right now and this announcement that Lundgren will be charged. Joining me is my colleague and friend, Spike Moss. And Spike has 2 of Ricky's brothers with him, the 3 of them talking about this conversation. Spike, first of all, brother, thank you for all you do. Good to see you again. And talk about what happened yesterday, Wednesday and Thursday at downtown the county.
Well, the most important thing is we made history. I expected us to make history all along, but as you know, Al, I've been fighting this situation since 1966. And this is the first Hennepin County attorney that ever took a case on behalf of African-American people in the city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota. It took us that long to come up with a charge on one. However, we had an advantage. The governor told the colonel who runs the state patrol to allow their family to see every video of every policeman's camera on his body and every video of the cameras in the squad car. He then told us that if we're going too fast, he'll slow it down. If you want me to back it up, I'll back it up. He made sure they seen actually everything they needed to see, which I knew made our case. But at the same time, I saw his humanity when I kept seeing him tearing up over the issue and trying to get his face to not cry in front of us. So I knew he was devastated. And I knew from meeting with the governor did not like the situation at all. And both agreed he should have never fired that gun. Mm-hmm. One of the things I said out of my mouth was that in police training, you're never supposed to point a gun and pull it in the direction of another officer who's standing at the door talking to Mr. Cobb, and he's standing here shooting, which he could have killed him too. But as you know or might not know, Al, I had fought the battle to stop police from pulling guns unless their life was threatened or somebody they were with's life was threatened. You're not supposed to pull the gun or pull the trigger unless that happens. That didn't happen. The other battle I had was to get them to stop stopping us because we got something hanging on the mirror or we got a broken tail light or something.
Mm-hmm.
It happened. They stopped him. So you're using deadly force to stop him from a broken tail light, and that's where it begins. I also heard the lawyer from the side of the officer on TV yesterday, and he was talking about they should have had an expert. Well, she let him know we didn't need an expert, but he didn't understand they didn't need an expert because she had the video, used video. But you like she don't know what she saw. She saw what we saw. We saw a man commit murder. We saw him do it like a gangster. So other than that, we were satisfied. The only thing I wasn't satisfied with is that he's given the opportunity to walk in. He's given the opportunity to walk out without bail. He never was placed under arrest. He just made money while he was at home, like he committed no crime. He committed that crime, deadly force for a tail light, capital punishment.
So in the past day, Spike, the state's Peace Officers Association has come out saying and charging that Moriarty is gone wild. What were their words? She's out of control. That's what they said, because what she's doing is sort of defending or going after police workers, making it open season on law enforcement. That's what he said, because she's challenging the actions and charging the officer in the death of Ricky Cobb. So it sounds like they're trying to say, you know, oh, so what if a guy got killed? You can't blame all law enforcement, and you shouldn't be really involved in this because it sends the wrong signal to the public. That's kind of how I'm reading it, and I think that's crazy. I think that's terrible.
It's normal for Minnesota, Al, to grab any straw they can to get out from under whatever they did wrong. They're not doing anything different with this family that they did in the past. In the first place, you're supposed to be trained. If you're trained, you should know what you should be doing and not be doing. You would have never fired that gun where you could have killed another officer standing there talking to him through the window. He didn't allow him to get out of the way. But the bottom line is this: you do the crime and then somebody's picking on you. You've been doing the crime, somebody's picking on you. You've got a family who is the first family in the history of Minnesota to take on the state, the first family in the history of Minnesota to take on the state patrol. That's big fish. This
is different from George Floyd in that George Floyd was Minneapolis police, but now this is state of Minnesota police.
State of Minnesota. Nobody across the country has done this. So you're an institution that ain't never been plugged in for all that you do. And I'll say this, Al, we're stopped every day and tickets and things wrote that we shouldn't be stopped. I just saw you were black in the car. They ain't no different. Nobody's ever came at them. See, when they did that study that said we're stopped 30 to 40 times more than anyone in the city, and then they said in the same study, but white people are stopped 20 sometimes with something illegal in the car. But at least they make it home. See, we got guns drawn on us. We get beat up. We get shot. We go to jail. So they can come at her about that. I made it clear to this family day one, and Rashad will tell you this: you're taking on the state. That has never happened. I never stuttered, Al. I made them to understand where you're going. You're going to another level. That's like taking on the president. He ain't never been taken on by black people. So I try to give them the courage and the determination that no matter how much time it takes, we're going forward. When you look at the delay, they said 7 months. I can tell you, Al, the reason it took so long, the state patrol refused to send over all the information. Now, I'm the county attorney, and you won't send me what I'm supposed to have. You know the process of law, but you won't even send me what you're supposed to send me for 7 months. And the video she's already seen, the governor's already seen, the colonel's already seen, the family's already seen. But they just shut down and said to her, with all her power, we ain't sending you nothing.
Mm.
So now you're gangsters. You're not just taking control. You're making gangster moves now about what you're going to do. So we're late getting here because of the disrespect shown her. This ain't the beginning of the disrespect showing her for having to represent Black people. And they're disturbed at the fact she got this case and we might get justice. She also thought it out really well in terms of how many charges she has to have as they try to wiggle and get out of it, period. And then she took the time with the family, because I was there, to explain it all to them, what she's up against. She also gave him the best lawyer she got, the one that handled the case for Floyd. She's ready. They are dealing with their racism. What we're going to deal with is winning this victory. I told this family from day one, our issue is not the lawsuit. Our issue is finding this man guilty, arresting this man, and getting him into court. That's all we've been focused on. Everybody else is running around with all kind of nonsense. Even the reporter tried to ask him, what are we after yesterday in terms of financial? We're after a guilty verdict. We can look at that madness later. I'm sitting next to the man who was in his mother's womb with him together as twins. Ask him, is it just about money or do you miss your brother? I talked to his daddy yesterday, and his daddy repeated it on the press conference that when they came out, Rashad was holding on to his leg when they came out. That's their bond from the wound to life in the world. So bigger picture for this family, because he can't speak for himself. They're speaking for him, and they're speaking from their love and their history with him. And so we're all standing on that. And all I'm really thankful about is the family's courage and braveness and determination, and not letting the glue leave their family so they can stand up the way they have to stand up. It ain't over till it's over, Al, and ain't none of us left the table.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm talking with my friend, leader in community, Spike Moss. Spike Moss sitting with Rashad Cobb and Courtney Burnett, brothers of Ricky T. Cobb II, the young man slain at the age of 33 by a Minnesota State Highway patrolman, and a patrolman that, according to Hennepin County attorney, will be charged with the death of Ricky Cobb II in the coming days. So Rashad and Courtney, brothers, first of all, condolences again to you each, and to your mom and your sisters, to your children, Ricky's children, all the people that touch your lives and whose lives you have touched. Condolences to you. And I think the community is with you, standing with you, praying with you, and wanting both justice and healing to come out of this, and glad that you are willing to stand up and to not just walk away and say, woe is me, nothing I can do. But Rashad, in the article that when people read it, I quoted you from our last interview saying how you guys had been at a wedding, or not a wedding, but a party of a cousin that was going to be getting married. And then everybody at some point in time kind of left. When he left, he said he was going to call his girl so he can talk to her on the phone on the way home. That makes all the sense in the world. We do that, right? You're driving home, want to stay alert, you're driving, you're walking, and then you hung up, went back to sleep, and a few minutes later, you get a call from her. She's distraught, and she's saying they have shot him. Walk us through that. Well, that night, what happened that night? And I don't want you to compromise anything. So just make sure that you are comfortable saying what you want to say.
I got you. Well, just getting up like that anyway is disturbing. I was just getting into a deep sleep. It only was 6 minutes from the last time I talked to him, but it was almost unreal. I know how cautious we are, and how the world is. So when they're calling me, and screaming that in my ear, I'm not thinking she's saying that a cop shot him, and she said a cop. I'm like, why would a cop, just shoot my brother? And, and how distraught she was, I know for a fact, I got to get on the move, but by the time I got from where I live to Minneapolis, they had it blocked off from Broadway all the way to like 42nd. So you got to go all like the back roads just to even see what's going on the freeway.
Mm.
All that way later, and I had his location on my phone and it wasn't moving. So I got her on the phone and she still got my brother on the other phone,
Mm.
because he had those glasses with the audio Bluetooth glasses.
Mm.
So listening
She
to
heard
her,
what was going on
yeah. So
as it
she's
was happening.
right. So she's listening on the phone, and then so if she didn't hear anything on the phone, I'm looking at the car up on the side of the cliff, and as
Mhm.
I'm looking down, she said, "I don't hear nothing." But if I see one of the troopers step close to the car, she say, "Hold on, bro, I hear something." But I see them close to the car in person. She's in St. Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
So when she's telling me that she can hear
It was still
somebody,
on after
right,
he had been shot.
right, but they got the way they got the cars. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that he was still on the ground that whole time.
Yeah.
I was out there for 5 hours, just
Mm-hmm.
asking, just tell me what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
And at that specific point, I've been through my own things. We did our own mistakes and everything as people, because that's what happens when you go and you grow. But at that specific moment, you know what I'm saying? Nothing, I never felt un-American at that moment ever in my life until that moment.
Mm.
Because it's just simple questions that you know the answers to, but you just won't answer them because you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was thinking, like, how is this fair? Like, would that be fair if that was one of your family members? I was in your situation.
Mm-hmm.
What you want me to tell you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just with my sisters and my dad, and his children mom coming on the scene, and we're just trying to get answers.
Mm-hmm.
We're still knowing, all of us got his location. We see his pent right there on the freeway. We just don't see nothing,
Mm-hmm.
And the way they're acting is like they took him to the hospital or something, like he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they was acting. Like,
But
oh
his body was on the ground,
yeah, it was
and
on
you
the
all couldn't see it. Okay.
fine.
And you only knew that because the audio was still on his Bluetooth eyeglasses, and his girl was actually hearing them whenever they walked near the body. It would
Yep.
pick up the sound.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing, amazing. Brother Courtney, let me ask you just how you feel. First of all, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here. Again, condolences to you, prayers to you and all of the family. But yeah, as this thing unfolded, what was happening in your mind?
How it happened again, and why does it keep happening to us?
Mm.
And looking on social media, all the people, saying all the, different things, bashing, not knowing the whole situation, that's hurtful to the families, being with my brother, on a daily basis, just consoling him and, watching him go through it, I just commend him for his strength, and I commend him for his for his diligence in getting justice for our brother Ricky.
Are you older or younger than the twins?
I'm older than the twins by 10 years.
Okay. All right. So let me do this. I want to talk about Ricky, and we got some pictures of him that I want you guys to sit back and talk about your brother, if you don't mind. I think because the pictures are great pictures. To walk us through these pictures.
Well, we got a cousin in the NFL, Randall Cobb. So, we always wear his jerseys, just to represent him, not just for the team, just for our name. Our name came from, the slave trade. So understanding where we came from and where our ancestors wanted us to go, even with our mistakes, it was always a team thing.
Go ahead and cycle through next picture.
That's my youngest daughter, and that's gotta be Romeo. And they was, as you can see, around the same age. So even today, they're really close.
They're first cousins, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This was Valvoline. That was a a good good period, because that was when we started first like working with our
Mhm.
heads.
Mhm.
And we was welding before that and cabinet making, but he got the valvoline before me. And he's like, yeah, man, come over here. This is real good. So I went over there after about 2 or 3 months of, doing my own thing. And the services that they offered at the time, we just went and we just learned about the services so we can be better of service, and we got assistant managers at the same time.
Wow. Wow. Who tell y'all y'all look like Ja Rule? You heard that before?
Now I hear
Yeah.
Kevin Durant a lot.
Who?
Kevin Durant,
Kevin Durant.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan. Yeah, I see Tracy Morgan. But I think Ja Rule in this picture too. Next one, Cooper.
That was for Thanksgiving, and then
Mhm.
the left one is for my gender reveal when I found out about my first son. And it was so funny because if you look at our face, that wasn't a set picture. That was somebody else just clicking pictures. Just
Mhm.
me and my brother was talking, and he had put the funny caption at the bottom, and it says, it's like he'll say, it's like, so it says, bro, like that's me saying it. It says, watch
Mhm.
dude, and he said, I'm already on him. So if you look at
Mhm.
our faces, it's just funny, and he was just like that.
Mhm. Next picture. Cooper, any more? Is that it? Okay, that's it. That's the ones we got. But it's nice just to have you guys talk about your brother and your family. And so, Spike, what does the community need to know? How does the community get involved? How does the community express its support for this family? But it's also its duty to stand for and call for justice. What do we do?
Well, the first thing they need to know is that the highway patrolmen violated all of the laws and things that are in this state that were in place. Before they start the rumors about what he was doing, what he didn't do, he violated everything. First place, he is cooperating by turning his head to the window, answering all questions. However, the officer wasn't answering. So he's steady trying to get to the reason you pulled me over. Well, they quickly acknowledge it's for a tail light. That's illegal. You can't do that to African Americans in the state of Minnesota anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I got started, they would walk up with the revolver out of the holster, hammer back to ask you license and registration.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason I fought that they can't pull that gun unless the threat of death of him or whoever's there he's got to protect. But for him to just up it the way they've been upping it, no. The fact that you use every excuse to stop us, no. The fact that I could have 4 or 5 people in the car in a snowstorm or falling rain, you make us all get out and sit on the curb in the rain while you do the investigation over a driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
You've had your fun. We're saying that you violated everything that we fought to change, and that's how he lost his life. And they can say whatever they want. And I'll say this on behalf of myself. If you catch me out there at night with that many police running up on me and they answer my question, I might drive to a place where there's light. I might drive to a place where there's people before I stop to talk to you, because you have proven you just that crazy towards African Americans in the state of Minnesota. To know, Al, that out of the top five worst states towards African American people, Wisconsin's number 1, Minnesota's number 2, Iowa's number 3, Illinois is number 4, Michigan's number 5. That means that the Midwest is the worst area towards African American people than all the South put together, and all the backwardness and redneck stuff they do. We're worse here. And so you have to put laws in place. We did. You have to get it voted on. We did. You have to get it approved. We did. And you're still violating it when you see us. So we want our people not to buy into the argument and the madness of the racism that's going to come forward on television. But when you hear us in the black press, at least you'll get the whole story, the whole understanding. There won't be nothing left out, because at some point, the media is going to join force against African Americans and let them say whatever they want to say, even though it don't make sense. We don't need an expert when we've all seen the video. We don't need an expert when the governor's seen the video. We don't need an expert when the colonel who's over state patrol said he should have never fired that gun. So what more expert do you need? We even said in the meeting when they didn't give him bail and they couldn't treat him like a criminal. I said, well, first of all, you got intentional. She said, well, there ain't no intent. It isn't intent if you pull the gun on purpose and fire it, but you might not intend to kill him. That's when I said in front of the whole family. I said, there is a police officer here in the room. I said, was that gun 400 or 500 pounds of pressure? And the officer spoke up. He said, 1,500. I said, at 1,500, if you fire that gun at my leg, you tore it off. But if it's in the torso or the head, you just took my life. That's intentional. You knew what you were doing. So you must have fired the first shot to make sure you hit him, and the second shot because you're enjoying yourself. And we're going to stay right there.
Spike, I watched the video several times, and I didn't clearly understand because the newscasters, from my point of view, were not making it clear. And the narrative that accompany the news reports almost give you the idea that, and they say this gingerly, that Ricky Cobb took his foot off the brake. They suggest that he put his car in gear, but it might have been already in gear. They're not saying that. But that when he pulled off the brakes, the car started rolling. Then the first thing I saw today when I looked at it was the officer Londrigan on the passenger side, and they had a block to show discharge from the nozzle of his gun. So I said, my earlier thought was that he just pulled off and they shot him from somewhere in the back. But is that the case, or did they shoot him while he was standing, from being in that door directly?
He shot him. He started shooting him before he even fell down. And that's why I said he didn't even allow the officer to get out of the way who's talking to him. If you're talking to them, I'm talking to you. You don't need to do that. Where is your training? I go back to what the colonel said. He had no business firing that gun. The colonel went on CNN and said he had no business firing that gun. And so when you understand that, he had to be eager to kill an African-American person that he couldn't even wait for that officer to get out of the way. He was in a hurry to get it on. And then you got to remember, Al, no crime committed. No reason to stop him other than you looking at a tail light and that's your excuse. Okay, well, how does that lead to capital punishment? Even in a state that has capital punishment, you still got to go to court.
Right.
You still got to be a jury, still got to be a judge. We don't have capital punishment, and he committed capital punishment for a broken tail light.
Let me read some more of the story that I started off with, and this is a story that'll appear in Monday's edition of Insight News. In fact, it's being picked up from the printer right now as we speak, and we'll start delivering it tomorrow. But I read part of it opening up. I'll just continue with a comment quoting Hennepin County Prosecutor Mary Moriarty. She said, a critical component of the work of the Minnesota State Patrol is engaging with drivers during motor vehicle stops. This is something that state troopers do every day. And as a result, they receive extensive training on how to do so safely and effectively. She goes on to say that Trooper Londrigan did not follow this training. These charges are appropriate based on the thorough investigation conducted by the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and attorneys in her office. She said, this is now an active criminal prosecution. And so that's the end of that quote. The story goes on to say that Moriarty said that the attorney's office is not seeking bail. You spoke to that, but will instead ask the court to require that Londrigan surrender his passport and firearms and that he follow all conditions set by the course. And the story goes on, Ricky, to say what I talked about before, your comments about talking to your brother and talking to his girlfriend and how you found out kind of what was happening. Spike, I quoted you in this story saying that when the head of the State Patrol, Colonel Langer, met with the family in the days following the shooting death, open quote, at the end, this is Spike quoting you, the colonel said something I never heard a chief or anybody say. He acknowledged that the officer should have never pulled that gun and never fired that gun, close quote. Spike Moss quoting what he heard from the head of the patrol, Colonel Langer. So, Spike, the article ends with you saying that the fatal traffic stop was a bad reflection on the training of the State Patrol. Because how could one be standing, you said, Spike, let's see, hold on. How could one be standing at the driver's door talking to him and the other one open the passenger door and shoot in that direction where he could have killed the officer too? And when I read that and remember you saying that, it just didn't register till I saw the video again today and saw that shot of the muzzle of the gun being blocked out, because there must have been a discharge there where you could see the fire, and with him standing right in the doorway. Unfortunately, Spike said, Spike, I'm quoting you again, it's the last sentence, for a taillight, a young man lost his life in the state of Minnesota. It's tragic. So,
sad, but truthful.
Yeah. So
when we deal with these situations, they always, push out, oh, it's not about a race. It's not about a race. Well, if we all know it's a human race and that's not how we act, and who are we talking about then? And my mom, she got, oh, don't read what they say online, but I like reading. It's just, I don't expect human beings to be speaking on stuff human beings know nothing about. And they spewing hatred for eons. And when I tell them about it, they're like, oh, what are you doing now? Well, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not, and like I told them yesterday, we're not asking for, your palaces and your stolen land and all that. We'll figure all that out later. That's God's business. We're asking for equality. We're asking for our freedom. We're asking for our peace, our justice, and those are righteously ours from birth. And, you make these laws, they make us seem like they're not applied to us, but we have to live here too, So if I see something of somebody else and I'm like, hey, what's up with this? And then, hey, what's up with that? It's not the same ever. And then you get that learning history, and then you see what the elders had to go through. And you're like, y'all still doing this? It's more of a manipulative type of way instead of just being outright doing it now, So with these type of cases, even, all over the nation, we have to figure out a plan on why does this keep happening to us. We know why it's happening. We have to get enough of us to figure out, like, look, we done with that. And this was like, I'm from Minnesota, so it's, I love the state. I'm from here. But the things you guys do to us here, makes me hate the way you act towards our people everywhere. And that's a problem for America as a whole. It's just Minnesota's at the spotlight again. And it's on the higher level. So now we gotta, pay attention to what God telling us and, move with the storm.
Spike, do our people get it? What do you think? What do you feel is the ordinary sister and brother's attitude? Or are we not paying attention? Are we committed? Are we engaged? Are we? How do you rate it?
We got both, Al. We got the majority of us understand this was wrong, and then we got those that would blame us no matter what happens in this country, and then we got those that are confused. So it's important that we have an opportunity to sit down with people like you where we can give the whole story, because whenever they cover us, they're going to get all theirs in and they're going to give us what they want that we say. And so the Black media is the most important media in a crime like this. A case in point, every racist group is taking their position already, and then trying to act like she's not professional and she don't know what she's doing. And the next thing, she's gonna be getting threats. We even told her in the room, we know the pressure you're getting ready to go through for trying to do the right thing in this state. The state has consistently, all the county attorneys, I said, never ever gave us a bill. They always came back with a no bill. Then they took us to the secret grand jury. It's such a secret. We never knew when they met. We never knew where they met. We never knew who was part of the secret grand jury, but they always came away with no bill. So each county attorney came with no charges. The grand jury came with no charges, and we were left alone. But most of my clients from 1966, they were shot in the back and handcuffed. No crime committed. This young man had committed no crime and lost his life. And he had a capital punishment in a state that has no capital punishment. So I know it's confusing for our people because everything we're saying here, the media is not going to say. The only opportunity we have to actually break it down so they can understand that we know exactly what's going on. We know what the county attorney has to do to even bring this forward. We know she's going to be threatened. We know the lawyer's going to be threatened because they feel they have the right. The one lesson I learned, Al, when Al Flowers was beaten up by the Urban League, by the police in broad daylight, and a camera was rolling. And the police then carried him to the station down on Plymouth. I walked down there. When you gonna let him go? They said, waiting for a call from downtown. Mike Freeman called and said, bring him in here for assaulting police. You just got attacked standing there smoking. You're not gonna get charged. I go and get the videotape from the camera showing everything I'm saying. Carry it downtown. Mike Freeman still charged Al Flowers. We had to go to court. Somewhere in the trial, we pulled up the videotape. The trial still keeps going. So the lawyer said to the officer in the witness stand, what gave you the right to beat Al Flowers the way you beat him in broad daylight in front of the Urban League? He stood up and took a position like Superman in front of all of us, including Al Flowers, and he said out loud, white privilege. That's a very important statement to understand what his brother is going through. White privilege. So I'm not supposed to go to jail. I never went to jail for all the black people we lynched, all the years we lynched them. When they finally counted the lynches, they still found over 4,000. Over 26 to 27 of those lynches was in Florida, but they always got to leave and go home because of white privilege. They want this man to leave and go home because of white privilege. He's already been paid every day that he was off work by our tax dollar. He's already going to be taken care of with a lawyer by our tax dollar. And you're doing your best to let him stand out here on vacation, knowing he took a man's life for absolutely nothing other than the fact you got that heart in your hate and you had an opportunity to hunt and you hunted.
And we had hoped that things would change after George Floyd, but they have not.
Right.
Well, just remember this, Al. Every week after that, look at how many different states police killed us right after that.
Yep.
Go through that.
All across the country, they begin to gun us up, including little Taylor. She was sleeping, and that state still found that officer not guilty, firing all through the walls and all through the house, and took her life sleeping in the bed, and she had nothing to do with the crime. But it went on across the country. We kept seeing different blacks gunned down for no reason. Now, some of them won in court, but out of racism, too many lost in court. And all of them were innocent. The tragedy is too many are not even associated with the crime. Not even a crime. It's just an attitude. And white privilege gives them the right to take our lives. That's very important to talk about.
It was a situation even last night in Vandus Heights in a Walmart. A young brother walk around the store with a significant other. He got his gun on him, but a white lady seen the gun in the store. She alerted somebody. So by the time they was in the checkout line, the sheriffs bum rushed them, guns out, had everybody, in one of those situations, not even knowing this brother got his concealed carry license on him. It's concealed in a state that got a concealed and carry license. It's just who had the gun, right? If it was, a Caucasian, wouldn't nobody question why he had that gun.
Yeah.
But that brother with that gun, it just looked like he was in the wrong place. And they detained him and everything. It's on the live. They detained him. They went through the twos and fews. They had to let him go, of course, But even having to go through that now, even after all the stuff that police get
Well,
away with it.
when they passed conceal and carry, they didn't mean it for us to conceal or carry,
Boom.
conceal or carry. You know.
Okay. So when that type of stuff goes on, and I see it, and it's like, oh, how isn't that equal? How is that? That doesn't feel like freedom to me, and that definitely don't look peaceful because he all hemmed up for what? You know, just because of his color. Now we got the. Now you talking to people that don't want to talk about color. We want to talk about equality and justice and freedom and peace. You know, they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about color.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but when you're talking about color, we don't look. You lost that fight already. You learned that eons ago too. So, you know, when we have to keep going into old things, moving into new ways, you know, we have to figure it out as a people and getting it from them. We're not gonna get it. We have to do it together.
Even when they get caught in the act, they turn around and try to make it seem like it was something else. Even when they tried to arrest that young brother, and then they turned around after they found out they couldn't. Oh, well, because you look underage. Underage doesn't have anything to do with why you just bum rush me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's the look of us, you know, our hair,
Mm-hmm.
our minds, the way we carry ourselves. They say, oh, it's some power over there. Let's throw a little bit more, sprinkle some more distractions on them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This situation lit us such a fire in me for the people, you know, that it's for us, even though, you know, I essentially go through it all the time, you know, it's for us to build this right here. Again, like I said, on the state level, the state got to deal with what's wrong with the state of Minnesota now. We're not going to play these games now. Now we can get to where they are, and then now we can come together and then be a whole. We done did everything under the sun, but be a whole. You know, we done did everything under the sun, but trust God. We done did everything under the sun, but do what we supposed to do.
But you know, to Corey's point, all three of us have watched in the last 5 years how many times Caucasian males have took these automatic weapons and run up in schools and movie shows and restaurants,
Churches,
just shoot up everybody. They either make it to jail alive or they shoot themselves. We have no gun, we ain't shot nobody, we can't make it home.
And then the first thing they're gonna bring up is black on black crime. But how do you think that came into the mind of somebody that wasn't violent in the first place? You know, if smart people, of course, gonna read history because they gonna trust but verify. Like my father always told me, you know, I'm gonna trust what you tell me, but I'm gonna verify it for myself, right? If you call me a savage, but I know you come from savagery, why are you not trying to push that on me so much? Then trying to figure that out, and then figuring it out, I'm like, oh, right. Then this happened, right? Then this happened, and I'm like, oh, now it's a whole new situation, you know. So I don't want them thinking that every time they see Mr. Cobb, it's a white on black thing, because it's not. It's a right or wrong.
That's right.
Freedom is freedom in the lack of justice.
You know, it's right or wrong right now. It's too many gray areas to be talking about black and white still, right?
Yeah. Brother Ricky, I'm just trying to, not Ricky, Brother Rashad, thinking about you as you're speaking and vibing on you and your brother. Talk about your relationship with him, if you don't mind. As twins, that's got to be a special bond.
Yeah, it was like, you know, even now it's weird. You know, all my life, that's the first thing we did in the morning was to make sure we was on the same frequency. You know, so it's very different. You know, everybody's not blessed to come into the world, and you're definitely not. A lot of people not blessed to come in with somebody else. You know, a lot of people that I know that's 3 minutes apart, they're fraternal. You know, I know it's twins closer, like 2 minutes, 1 minute, or whatever. You know, but the way that we moved, other twins noticed how close we were. You know, they always tell us about it, like, man, y'all super close, and we looking at each other like, well, shouldn't y'all be the same way, right? But it just was never that same, you know. We just was different breeds, man. You know, last of a dying breed, man. And it was just like, with us always being with each other, it always gave us up to help somebody else. We had to fall back on, you know. So I get it.
Yeah.
I thank God for the 33 years I did get, you know. A lot of people don't even get that.
What do you miss the most about your brother?
the most
Mhm.
is cockiness
Mm.
about everything. Like,
Stand on it.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, sir.
That was his thing.
you couldn't tell him nothing. Like, once he made up his mind, it was on.
Mhm.
And they're telling him, like, man, I had a dream. You know, I don't care about your dream.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really miss his cockiness, you know, because I always been a, you know, laid back cat, you know, mind my own business, you know. But with my brother, he's front line infantry, like, yeah, this is what we're doing, this is how we do it, you know. And I really miss that. You know, the family, they never understood how much of decisions that was made came from our thinking
Mm.
together. You know, just because I didn't say a lot of it, don't mean we didn't plan it together.
Right.
That's where his cockiness came from, you know, because he'd be able to say it. And you know, since this happened, it's like I got both traits instead of just
Mm.
having one.
Mhm.
And it's a bittersweet feeling, you know, every
Mhm.
day.
Mhm.
Waking up, talking yourself down, gotta build your spirit back up, you
Mhm.
know, build other people up, you know. People will say stuff out their mouth that think that's gonna break you down, you know, and most of it comes from literally hate. You know, it's nothing loving about people that say things out their mouth like want to be gangsters and, you know, stuff like that. And this is my twin brother. You know, anybody in Minneapolis, St. Paul, any of the other boroughs that know us is from working, you know, always networking and resourcing.
Mhm.
And the seed, pouring some water on it, keep it going, coming back, checking to see if it's growing. If it's not, see what is missing. You know, put some more soil in it, add some more seeds, put some more water in it.
Mhm.
Sooner or later it'll grow. You
Mhm.
know, and we had the time with each other to practice.
Mhm.
You know, we always said it like it's so easy for us to deal with people because we dealt with each other.
Ah, ah.
There's a lot
What
of
room are you guys sitting in right now? What room are you in?
at KMOJ.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. Awesome. Good. 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 And Spike, let me ask you to weigh in here again. Uh, the environment is shifting. Like everybody, I'm watching, what's happening with the national political and what Trump represented both as president and even after now as candidate is a dog whistle to white supremacist thought and thinking. And what he represents, from my point of view, is a willingness to gin up stupidity and gin up ignorance in white people so that they feel like the commander in chief is authorizing them to go on the hunt. And the hunt, as you said, at one level or another, is our people. And they want to be able to be justified and have a narrative, a story that says why they killed me, why they killed you, and have the world accept their version of it and not question that. And what often happens is that they, first of all, try to denigrate the person they just killed. They go try to look at the record. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. Oh, he was this. But it got nothing to do with why you stopped him and why you killed him, right? But you're trying to reach for straws to say you were justified. Spike, which way is the environment turning right now? And 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 no matter which way it does turn, what do you see as our mission, our role, our obligation to ourselves, our family, our legacy, and our future?
Well, first of all, everyone needs to know that Putin and Trump, their hero is Hitler, period. And they're cut off the same apple. If you look at that World War One, two of the things that Hitler made that were important to that movement, one was the Nazi Party, and the other was the Aryan race. Immediately, America mimicked that and built those two parties here. The next thing that he did is he forced his will and tried to force it on the world. Now here comes America with the two parties, and both parties are still here. 2024, the Aryan race is still here, and the Nazi Party is still here. Hitler is a second, I'll say Trump is a second coming of Hitler, and he's following Hitler's legacy. I was really I had a good feeling a few weeks back when he went on TV, 2 weeks back or so, and he said these words. He said that the Jews were vermin. That's Hitler talking. But then he said the brown people crossing the border are poisoning our blood. And he said, and so are the Africans poisoning our blood. All of that is Hitler. On the way to organize those of the Hitler mentality. Now, the reason the mentality is alive and well, when Hitler was up doing his thing, 4 out of 5 Caucasians living in America believed in everything Hitler said. That thought process has not went anywhere. What we've got to do is pay attention to what's next, because they can't get what they want until they have the Civil War to bring all the white people together so that you can have the race war to run them out of here. The other thing is, and even our people don't understand that it was the Spaniards that came here, East Coast, West Coast, with colonies and attacked these Native Americans. But they also enslaved them here before they brought us here. They enslaved those Native Americans and carried them all the way down through what's called Texas, all the way down to a city that they named Mexico, and named those Native Americans Mexican, and we now call them illegal aliens, because they're finally on their way back home where they came from when they were Aztecs under the king who they made the king, who was a chief named Montezuma. So you can see from that situation to our situation, you've been waiting on the next Hitler. Trump's going to bring the next Hitler. Are we paying enough attention to be ready from when they finish with that Civil War? Because we are the next on the agenda. The minute they finish that, they're going to start that race war. And I don't care what nobody tells you. Listen to the hate. Look at what they do. When they hit the streets in Carolina and they were in that protest line, them white boys was hollering out loud, the Jews will not replace us. Ain't no Jews ever tried to replace you. This is the hate in your heart. So they're letting you know where they're at. But they also were smart enough in the early 50s and things, when the civil rights movement was moving. If you want to do this to people of color, not go to jail, become a peace officer. And they became police all over the country, polluted the police departments all over the country. And all we're getting from them is the Aryan race in them. Unfortunately for us, and I can say this in front of both of these young men, we're the only state where every Aryan race group is at. Nobody has everybody. They might have the Klan. Some might have skinheads, some might have both, but they don't have all the groups. Minnesota has all of them. And Minnesota, as you know, Al, when I used to stand up over there at the Capitol under freedom of speech, they would give them the day for all of them to come and spit that poison all day. Last time I was there, I was with Wellstone, and I had megaphone, and we was coming at them. But the state troopers, they were watching us, not them. We weren't spitting hate. They were watching us, not them. So just understand that this race war that they're promoting is what this is all about. And they're smart enough to know, don't move till you unite the Caucasians. So you got to have the Civil War first, and then we get to that race war.
So Rashad and Courtney, do you see this incident in that same political construct?
I do, because,
and I say that because people are going to want you to say, oh no, that was just a particular specific incident,
Of course.
And it's as if it's
so.
But that's not the case.
No, in that position, everybody's gonna have an opinion, but we're in the position to either put you in the position to believe us or call God a liar.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they've been doing this for so long, the ways ain't changed. The people just don't know because we don't get into scripture enough.
And the one thing they, United States is big on, Christianity and God and all this and that. But in the same breath, they're not going by what God is telling them to do. So, with this whole, talking about, races and all this and that, where I stand on that, it's not about, again, it's not about just black, it's not about black and white, it's about people as a whole. And what our mission is to get our people right. And that's just that.
And then they always want to talk about race when it's only one race.
There's only one race.
So when you start bringing up color, right, that means you doing something wrong.
That's right.
So where we need to get is right. If you've been wrong, then be accountable to your wrongdoings, because what we don't see, guess who?
and stop being so narcissistic and just accept your punishment. Quit doing wrong and then trying to make it seem like it's somebody else's fault.
Right.
That's just narcissistic.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
they gonna keep doing it because color folk don't know enough. The things as a mass that we supposed to know. And then I talk to Spike about this all the time. He have to keep reminding me too. You know, our ancestors was indoctrinated so bad, it just kept going downhill, right? Now we're at this point. Now they looking for this rebellion. You know, they looking for this revolution. You know, I talk to people younger than me. I'm 33. I talk to kids like 27,
That's right.
20, 25, 20. They looking for war. They like, hey, I seen this or I seen that, but I gotta remind them. You got Nazis and you got Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
They say I'm just more European and I'm just more German, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's their problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with this Trump situation, they want America to be so riled with what's going on with Trump. But the only ones mad about it is all the Caucasians.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a civil war, that's what Spike was just saying. It's like, if civil war come, we still gonna be here. So whoever win that, we gonna be around for them to take all that. No, so before we even know all that, we might as well build together now.
Mm-hmm.
Let them just hash out their little Roman, Greek, demonic, satanic, whatever they got going on. You know, let them handle that because we the only ones that they playing the games with. You know, they know that we're the majority, but we're looking at like a game to them. You know, and I'm at that point where this ain't a game. You know, this real life. I want it to a point where we can give our kids a chance at life. You know, our ancestors had to go through something. We had to go through something. We should make it easier with the more we learn as we go, right? They don't want it like that. So it's now we got to force it like that, you know? And we got to come like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X in one.
Spike got about 3 or 4 minutes left. What's going to happen the next several days to watch this case? What should people watch out for if they want to stay on top of the proceedings over the next several months, even a year? This thing might not be resolved for, it could be some long period of time, right?
Well, we're first of all going to show up when he's going to be arraigned. We're going to be there at 1:15 on Monday as he comes in. But we will use black media when the media doesn't help us. We'll use black media to make sure our people know every step of this battle. I want to make sure that our lawyers sit down with the black media, all the black media together, so that anything they do to us, hide from us, or take advantage of us, we'll have a way to say to the people in this state and the people watching around the country with clarity what's happening with this family and this issue. We're not going to roll the dice that they're going to do right. We're going to ready ourselves by coming to our own media.
Awesome. Okay, well, listen, brothers, again, thank you so much, Rashad and Courtney and the family. Rashad, how's your mom? Courtney, how's your mom? How are your parents doing? How your sisters doing?
She's holding up. My sisters, they holding up. You know, my dad, you know, we getting the kids back, right? We, you know, just coming together with what we have to hold on to is, you know, just building it stronger because that's what he will want us to do, you know. But if anybody is going to hear this before Monday, we would like the supporters to come down to the jail. So look this murderer in the face, you know, let's show them perp walks. Let's show them how to feel uncomfortable. You know, let's show them how you make us feel, and let's see how, you know, it makes everybody feel, you know.
So that's going to be 1 o'clock at Hennepin County Courthouse.
Yep, at the jail. Yep.
This
Right across.
Monday.
That's the main one, right across the from the government center. Yeah. It's right there. So making them feel uncomfortable and getting our comfortability back is where our comfort's at.
All right.
If you call down there, they'll tell you exactly where to be. What floor thing.
Okay. All right, guys. Brothers, thank you so much. Blessings on your family, and just stay focused, stay committed, and we'll keep telling the story. We thank you for your courage and your commitment to information and to justice and to fairness. I'm Al McFarlane. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.